Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds Podcast.
Each episode, we invite extraordinary guests who are masters of their craft. They're innovators, entrepreneurs, and of course, motorcycle enthusiasts who have made their mark in the world.
They share their stories, insights, and hard-earned wisdom, giving you a front row seat to the strategies and experiences that shape their successes.
So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for an exhilarating ride as we dive deep into the minds of these exceptional individuals.
Along the way, we'll uncover powerful strategies, gain fresh perspectives, and explore the limitless possibilities of what it takes to be an American mastermind.
All right, everybody, welcome to the American Masterminds Podcast. I'm Rob Adams. I am your host tonight. My co-host and best friend in the whole wide world, Jared, sitting next to me. Jared, how you doing?
Great tonight. Great.
Right.
Happy to be here.
Very good. And then we got Alec up on the board, spinning the tunes. What you doing, Alec? And then our special guest, which Topher likes to say every podcast, I'm very excited to have this special guest on our podcast.
We are very
special
excited.
Guest. Topher is in the house. We're going to do a little bit of a talk. Now, Topher has been, of course, he is usually the host, the main host, and I'm kind of taking his seat today, but we need to talk to Topher because he's one of the most interesting guys I know. He's got a lot of story, a lot of good stuff that he wants to share with us, and we want to kind of highlight our featured members at the American Masterminds because that's what we're here to do. One of our goals as a brotherhood is to build one another up, to teach each other, and to grow, and Topher is a great mentor of mine, so I'm excited to have this conversation, Topher.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
have some fun.
Let's do it.
Let's have some fun. So, Topher, where do we begin? You are a man of mystery, an interesting person from the very beginning. You've done so much. You've traveled. You've seen the world. Let's start way back. Let's the little Topher.
Begin at the beginning.
At the very beginning.
Very beginning.
As a young man, as a little boy, you were already into baseball. You were
Yes,
already
sir.
It was a big part of your life. Why was that? Was it something your dad was into?
No, actually, I played all the sports growing up. What actually did it for me is when I was 10 years old, we moved to Casper, Wyoming. We were living in Fort Collins, and we moved to Casper, Wyoming. And I don't remember how this happened, but I got onto at 10 years old, I was playing with the 12-year-olds. There was one all-star team in Casper, Wyoming, okay, and they were kind of a big deal. And I showed up. I was the youngest one on the team, and we were about playing. This is kind of funny because we were out playing in a tournament, and I was a third baseman. That was my given position, and our catcher got sick, and he had to go home. And being the good-hearted team player that I was,
Put me in, coach.
put me in. I'll go
do
catch
it.
for a minute. Well, coincidentally, we played 2 games that day, and the second game there happened to be an actual pro scout in the stands, and he approached my parents after the game, and he said, "I don't know where you're from or how you got here, but he's got talent."
What?
And so he came up, and it was really cool. I had already kind of started to have the love for it, but it was that acknowledgement that was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh man, okay, I'm going to
Especially
do
never
this.
having played the position.
Oh, yeah. No, it was something that came, which is really funny because I tried for the next 20 years I'll play second, I'll play third, I'll play first, wherever you want me to go. And it was always just, yeah, shut up. Just put the gear back on and go back there.
You
kept
are
doing it.
there.
Yep.
So catcher, in my perspective, I've played a little baseball, nothing, of course, like you have, but there's really a game that's only happening between 3 people on the field most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's the pitcher,
Yes.
the catcher, and the dude at bat.
Yes.
Yep.
Everything else is kind of static. Like we're waiting for something. We're going to react to whatever input happens. Tell me about what kind of a leadership or what does that look like being in that spot, even at a young age? Like how'd that work?
The catcher is more of and then part of this story is by the time, so I was 10 when that happened. I worked with this guy. His name was Alex Neely. And then by 12 years old, the Rockies were actually sending pitchers one at a time to him to come and learn how to throw a curveball in altitude. So at 12 years old, I was catching Colorado Rockies pitchers and doing that. But what's unique about the catcher position, and this really came on in college and later, but you're the quarterback. I call all the pitches. My calling card as a player, the one attribute that I had was calling a game. The catchers, my competition, pitchers' ERA with me was 2 runs lower when I was catching than any of the other catchers that I was compared with.
So let's just, for those of you who don't know what ERA stands for.
It's earned run average. So that's kind of how they judge pitchers. In a nutshell, it's how many runs does a pitcher give up over the course of a game.
Okay. That sounds amazing. And so there you are. You're kind of in a leadership role. You're in this team position. You're 12 years old. You're catching for semi-professional pitchers, learning to throw a curve at altitude. The one thing I've always wondered about being a catcher is, like, I've never had a curveball thrown at me unless I'm batting. But I've never been, like, down range, really. Like, I'm kind of off to the side, right? How do you get the hang of, like, I see where the ball's going, but I know where it's going to end? Like, seems like there's got to be a little bit of faith in there.
Well, there's faith to it, but it's very much a learned skill. What they don't tell you when you're watching a baseball game is all of the little tiny movements that matter. Okay, so it's very much about timing, and if your timing is good, the balls don't creep up on you. And there's techniques for it.
That's a life lesson, by the way.
Yes,
If your timing is good, your balls won't creep up on you.
Those balls won't creep up on you.
I wanted to reiterate
No,
that because
that's
that's a
100%.
solid line. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Baseball, to that point, I don't think that there is a better example for life and navigating life than the game of baseball. Baseball is the only game that they don't keep track of your wins. They keep track of your losses. Every stat in the game of baseball is negative.
No,
okay?
that's right. That's true now that I think about
They
it.
don't keep track of
How many balls have you dropped? How many? Yeah. Huh.
So it's all negative. And if you are the best in the world, you are going to fail 7 out of 10 times.
Wow.
The best in the world, hitting 300, that's the benchmark. The best in the world fail 7 out of 10 times. It is a game of failure. You don't win baseball games. You lose baseball games based on errors.
Which is absolutely true. That is kind of a life lesson.
There is so much about, and I'm sure this is going to be the theme of this podcast, is how these baseball lessons shape my worldview.
Yeah.
Okay. And to give you some examples, take an at-bat. Okay. On an average baseball game, you're going to get 4 at-bats. All right. If you go up there on your first at-bat and you strike out and you carry that to the next at-bat, you're going to strike out again, and you're going to strike out again, and you're going to strike out again, and that's called quicksand. And that's what happens. The thing that you have to master in your mind in baseball is I'm going to have one at bat, and regardless of what happens there, I'm going to have to get up and do it again here in a couple of innings. And if you go up there without a clean slate, fresh set of eyes, mentally, physically ready to go, you're not going to have success.
So how do you do that? How do you keep that slate clean? Because I'm a tremendous scorekeeper. I'm like, oh damn, this guy throws 138 miles an hour. Like I can talk myself into or out of success as easily as anything. How do you do that?
Much like life, the game of baseball is a day in and day out thing. There's 162 games in a season. There's 4 at-bats for each one of those games. You can't hold on to any one of those things for any length of time, good or bad.
How do you shake it? How do you get out of the quicksand?
You have to have you have to recognize mentally what I just said. There's another at-bat coming, and I have to get ready for that one. So it's really more about shortening your memory.
Yeah.
Right. You can't have any emotional ties to your last at-bat. Your last at-bat is done. It's history. It's in the books. It's recorded. It's done.
But that would also be true then on your great hits. Like if you
100%.
swing and you clean it up, you've got to like put that out of your head too, because that can also get in your way. Like,
Absolutely.
This is easy. I got this.
Again, much like life, what you're trying to do, if this is absolute neutral, okay, where football is like this, up and down, up and down. We score a touchdown, everything's great. You come back down, they score, it moves like that. If you do that in baseball, you're going to have problems. If this is the baseline, we want to be here, just above neutral and as consistent as can be. Then that's the mentality. That's what goes into it. And again, you take this into life. If you really want to break down if we said an at-bat is a single game, a single interview, a single sales call, a single whatever,
Attempt of anything, yeah.
how many of those are you going to have in the course of a day? If you carry the first one that happens in the morning, that could go negative. Right? But if I'm going to have another one here in another hour. If you're doing sales calls, right?
You have
you're
a bad
gonna
call.
No, boom, it's over. I struck out.
Yeah.
So what?
Next
Let
call.
it go.
The next call. Let's go. And it really is more, it's a training your mind to 1, 2, 3, go to the next one.
Did you have any rituals that would help you with the reset?
Yes. So what I found, so there's like the path. So I want to back up for 2 seconds.
No.
Hold on.
I got to know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I need a good ritual.
Yes, a reset button. So my reset button that I would use was the right field foul pole. And you do it every single pitch, okay? So even when I was catching, that was and it's a deep breath, reset, next play. Reset, next play.
You'd look at the pole and clear the slate.
Clear the mechanism.
Clear the mechanism.
Which I did steal from For the Love of the Game.
Yeah.
But that's the words that he used. And what I've one of the biggest lessons that I have found, all of the stuff that you learn from a mental standpoint, okay, if you can't use it and deploy it under stress, it actually doesn't mean anything. So you got to take these big concepts, a reset button, okay? A reset button is actually, in concept, it's very complicated with the thought process, what that means, okay? How am I going to get back to neutral? What does it feel like? All of this stuff.
How do I know that I'm out?
How do I know?
A lot of people don't even know they're out.
So you have to reset that no matter what on the next play. And what I have found is you take these big, massive concepts and you have to whittle them down to 3 words. This particular one, the reset trigger, is remember the mechanism. That is the 3-letter word that triggers reset, breathe, get your mind right, clear everything, no emotion, get back up there and do it again.
I have a reset for sales. So I'm in sales. I'm on the phone. I usually average about 23 no's a day, 23 bad conversations to get my 2 or 3 good conversations. My clearing the mechanism is I will take off my headphones. I will pause whatever's happening on the computer, and I do a quick walk. And I'll pick up the pine cones or the acorns, or I'll do something in the yard, just like a quick around the yard, and I come back in and I'm a new person ready to go. So I used to do that when I worked in the office. I was up on the 3rd floor. I'd run all the way down to the bottom. I'd cross over to the building. I'd run all the way to the top, come back around, and I'd do this route on the stairs and get back and just like clear the mechanism, change my body. And that was really a huge
Get
thing.
out of the quicksand.
The hard part that I've found with that, okay, and then the part that baseball exposes, okay, life and baseball happens in one moment. A baseball game is 3 hours long. How much of that time is actually spent hitting a baseball? Fractions of seconds.
Yeah. You get 4 attempts that are short.
Correct. Same thing happens in life. Okay? Everything that happens are these quick little moments. We were just talking to Master Garvey, okay? And in fighting, the difference between an elite fighter, a world champion fighter, and a guy that's on the bottom of the roster is that split second that happens before that actual interaction happens. Okay? So, reset button, if we're going to teach a reset button, it has to be able to be deployed under stress in a split microsecond. My reset button was a single breath in 3 words. And you have to whittle it down to that so that when you got 20,000 screaming fans, it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 guys on, I have to perform right now. If I had to take a walk around, you're not going to do that. There's no time for that.
Yeah.
So it has to be deployed in a split-second moment.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm in a different sport. I have the time. It's okay. Do you have a reset, Jared? Do you have something that you do to reset your mechanism?
I really overanalyze everything. So I should probably work on having a reset button so I can let go and get out of the quicksand quicker.
Well,
I feel like the really key to the reset is knowing that you need one.
Yes.
It feels to me like most of us are living unconsciously, and I like this about you. You've always been very present with this,
Right.
But we're walking around suffering or actually happy without knowing why or where it came from. We're just kind of like just bumping through. And so if you are conscious enough to know, okay, I'm not straight right now, I'm not 100%, then you have an opportunity to be 100% more often because you're showing up conscious of what percentage you're at.
Yeah, I'm going to take that away.
Yeah.
And implement. And that's a great tool.
Cool consciousness.
the game of war, which I hope we can get to, okay? What's the worst thing that could happen in this situation? Take baseball because the parameters, striking out. So what?
Or
I'm going to get a hit. Or I'm going to be the hero. Both options are equally as likely.
The game of war.
The game of war.
and I'm going to continue with my day after this.
Yes.
Well, do you
Either
feel
way.
like you probably gravitate to worst case scenario? I think most of us probably do. And so coming to or is the other, or I could set an appointment, or
It's not that you concede to the worst case scenario. It's that you accept that the worst case scenario could happen. It could. And then what?
so what?
So what? Move on to the next one. So take this over to a business example, right? All right. So we're trying to build a business and it fails. So what? Get on the horse. You've got another at bat coming.
Yeah.
Life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Get on as fast as you can. Hit the reset button as fast as you can and move on. There isn't any, Again, moving from at bat to at bat, it's the same thing in life. If you can't cut the emotional ties, the past is the past. Literally, that second is done.
Yeah.
It's recorded on this camera right now. It's
Yeah.
over.
There's nothing we can do about
There's
it.
nothing you can do about it. So why are you putting your emotions to it?
Right.
There's a word in our language that we do as humans, and it's called ruminate. You ever heard that word? We ruminate. Ruminate means that I'm going to beat myself up over and over and over again because I can't forgive myself for losing my temper with my child or getting upset at work and speaking my mind. And then we spend time on like how we could have done it, We resolve it, and then we wake up in the morning and we get into it again.
Yep.
And rumination is one of the leading causes for depression and anxiety in humans. And so what I really like about this is it's giving you an out on the ruminating. Like, so what? Like this happened. Now,
on.
the other thing that you are really good at, I admire about you actually, is this was a lesson, and this is what we're going to do. There's no pity party. Like, this is the lesson, and so because of this lesson, this is what we're going to do. There's always that.
It's never a loss. It's you
learn.
either win or learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy cool reset. I
Well,
love that.
to your point about ruminating, okay, and I do feel like I can speak on this. I have one of the worst ADD brains around, okay, and the way that transpired all growing up was overthinking. If I were to say something, if I told Jared a joke, right, I would spend the next 2 weeks say it was off color just a little bit.
Just wondering.
I made Jared upset. I look like an idiot. Oh man, to a point of crippling myself. So all of these mechanisms were built because of the flaws that I had inherently.
I'm guilty of the same things.
Spending a lot of time in that.
Overanalyzing, like, man, what? I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that?
Yeah, I could have handled that better. I could have done better.
But why? If I am actively, and part of this too is that you have to take responsibility for when you do fuck up, right? But I actively try to be my best in every single situation that I'm put in. That's the only mode that I have. Be the best at what. If we're going to go out, my brother-in-law, he takes care of $1 million horses, okay? If him and I were in a stall and we're going to shovel shit, I'm going to shovel shit better and faster than you are. I can't turn it off, okay? It's anything that we do. And that's a mindset. It's no different than waking up in the morning. You got a choice, right? If I'm going to wake up, I have a choice. I'm either going to feel like shit. Oh, well, it's raining outside. Or I'm going to wake up and feel like the man.
Yeah.
Why?
It's
only my opinion that matters.
get it.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to feel like the fucking man. I could go out and do anything.
Well, let's shift gears again and go back. So here we are, 10, 12 years old. Now you've been given this little bit of, I'm going to use the word significance here because I can see that sparking like, okay, I'm good at this. I've got a talent here. This makes me better than or differentiates me from others. And I'm going to pour into this. Now I can see the time that your mind, this obsessive mind, would work on becoming the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you think you were putting in as a kid becoming the best catcher you could be?
Eat, sleep, breathe every moment of every day. If I wasn't at school or helping in the garage with my dad, I was playing baseball.
That was that was your thing.
Hundreds of millions of air hacks in a mirror. It was everything that I did. And to your point about like, oh, you must be feeling good. That period of me catching those Colorado Rockies pitchers. That was it. Fast forward a couple years, we moved down here. Quick little side note. I have a lifetime ban from the Casper Legion baseball program. Okay.
There's a picture of him.
For real. In 7th grade. So
there's a pegboard and you're the only picture of it.
Watch out for this kid.
They're in Legion, okay, so there's no you don't play for the high school, you play Legion program. And there's no minimum age. So I tried out for Legion baseball in 7th grade and made the varsity team before anybody found out how old I actually was.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And the commissioner, he had a son that was my age. And so they said it wasn't fair that the rest of the kids didn't know that was part of it. So we had to do a whole second tryout. Still the only one that made it, still made varsity. And then they gave me a lifetime ban for conduct detrimental to the program.
Oh, man.
Now, that's
Coincidentally,
something I can believe about you.
oh, yeah, Casper, Wyoming. You don't want to be the
You
outcast
can't
up there.
be way better than everybody
It
else.
was wild. So my dad had a law firm here, and as well, he was already traveling back and forth, and it was an easy move to move down here, and this is where I did high school. But where I was going with that is that you said, oh, you must be feeling good about that. Yeah, to a point. High school was really rough, and what I learned really fast, if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me no, okay, I could retire right now and we wouldn't have a problem. My high school baseball coach, I ended up graduating early with a full ride to Indian Hills in Iowa, which was a baseball powerhouse, okay? And I graduated a year early because of those connections I had with the Colorado Rockies. I'm fairly certain that the Rockies own that school. There were 60 kids that went there. 58 of them were baseball players. If you spoke English, you got an A and showed up to class. If you spoke Spanish and showed up to class, you got a C, and the homework was really irrelevant. We played baseball for 8 hours a day.
Huh.
And so I went out there, but my high school coach on our senior graduation, he got up in front of all the parents and everything and said, well, this is Topher Scheeler. He thinks he's better than everybody else. He better learn how to hit, or he better learn how to bunt, because he's never going to be able to hit at the next level. He will 100% fail at the next level.
He said this in front of...
It was the one and only time, my dad's kind of a hothead. It was the one and only time my mom was hanging on my dad's back for dear life because he was going to come across the table and thump this guy.
Wow. And he said it in a public setting?
To the rest of the parents at the end of the year banquet.
Wow. Oh, my God.
It was rough. Every level that I ever played at, they told me no, that I couldn't do this.
Huh.
Every scout, everything, and I just kept going. There's only one opinion that matters, and that's yours. I believed that I could do this. And so now I don't recommend this because my route to getting there, okay, I was in the weight room or in batting cages, and I don't even want to admit how many times I was physically carried out of batting cages and weight rooms because I thought I was going to hurt myself. I was not anywhere close to the most talented. I was obsessive, okay? I outworked everybody, and I did end up finding my little route, which was in the mental side of the game, that kept me in it for as long as I was. But you're not going to go up and Google any stats on me. It was the fact that I was there because I just refused to go home.
Right.
So
Wow.
all of these lessons and the mindset was in part to overcome me and overcome all of this negativity all the time and just keep proving them wrong. Keep going. Just keep going. If you fall off, if you fail, get back up, do it again. Do it again. Just keep going.
So being raised that way, I feel like you would have a very low tolerance for someone who would make excuses, like someone who there's no excuse.
What part of my baseball journey was, it was very spiritual, okay? And what I found is that God actually, and he leaves a lot of breadcrumbs to this. It's simple. But to be simple is divine, okay? Where people get caught is in the making things very complicated. I believe that's a sign of Satan, all right? He's trying to confuse you. God makes things very, very simple. And the more simple that we can make things, the easier your life is going to be. No different than, why do you have all these attachments to your past? That doesn't make any, is there anything you can do to change it? That book has already been written. You can call upon it, use it for recall to move on, or use it for reference for the next situation that comes on. But why? Make it as simple as possible. Whittle it down to 3 words that triggers what you just built, because that's how you're going to use it.
Interesting.
It really explains a lot about you, man. Like this is, I've known you now. How long have I known you?
6 years, 5 years, 6 years?
5 or 6 years. I've known you a minute, and you are unrelenting when you have something set in your mind. Like when you get your gut set on something, it's interesting to watch you make it happen. Like, and that's literally the best way to say it. You make it happen. It's not like you manifest it. Like you're crafting your world. It's pretty powerful.
It's toxic as well. It spreads.
Yeah.
I just don't believe, well, you get told no enough times, and eventually it turns to, instead of digging at you, it turns to, tell me no again.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Tell me no again.
Yeah,
I like this.
Watch
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, to take this further, so we go through college, right? And good, better, and different. Again, it was you're going to get cut this year. You're going to get cut this
So
year.
where'd you go to college?
I went to Indian Hills. And I had a full ride scholarship, that's probably the most accomplished thing I did in the game of baseball. Full ride scholarships don't happen. Okay. Usually they're split up. There's a lot of kids on the baseball team. I went out there. I tore my bicep tendon. I was there for 2 months and
Throwing? Was it throwing?
Yeah. So we were doing, again, we were practicing 8 hours a day. My body, I was a 17-year-old. It wasn't ready for that. Realistically, I shouldn't have been there. But
How bad was the tear?
full
tear?
No, it wasn't a full tear. They ended up going in there. It was just a real quick. They kind of sutured it up, and they told me, like, look, I was in a cast for 2 months or whatever it was, and they said, look, if you can get through this, you should have day-to-day functionality. But I couldn't afford Tommy John, which is what they were saying. That was what would be needed to keep playing.
What's Tommy John?
It's where they take a tendon out of your ankle and replace the bicep tendon with it.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's
At 17?
oh yeah, it happens, and usually they've gotten it to a point now. Getting Tommy John used to be like, oh God, he's done, and now they come back throwing harder. It really isn't they've really perfected it. But at that time, no insurance is going to cover that or anything like that, and it was a $30,000 procedure.
Jeez.
And that just simply wasn't in the cards.
In the cards, yeah.
So at that point, they told me I was done. Like the doctors were telling me I was done. And I came home and I got enrolled up to the U for the first time. And my brother was 12 and he was on an all-star team. And coincidentally, they didn't have a coach. Okay. And they begged me to come out and coach. All right. And I got to give a lot of credit to those boys because they were relentless. Those guys hounded me from the time I showed up till I started actually throwing again in June. And they were just relentless. Topher, throw with us. Topher, hit with us. Just do this. And I was listening to the doctors going, there's nothing, I can't. You know, what do you want? And I finally gave in, like, well, what's the worst that would happen? So we were out there, and I won't forget it. Wait a minute.
That didn't hurt.
That didn't hurt. Wait a minute. That's not bad. That's not bad. And I kept throwing, and it turned into a thing. Fast forward to July, I was like, I went to my parents and said, I think I can do this again. So I started a mission. You want to talk about like the drive and whatnot, okay? I called every single school, sent an email, called physically, every single school west of the Mississippi. The last city on the map was Seattle, okay? And I called up there, and I got 2 people that at least talked to me back. And so we got in the car, and we drove up there, and I did some tryouts, and I got an opportunity to go up there and play. So my next 2 years were at Olympic College up in Seattle. And then I came out. I did have a couple of scholarship offers to some bigger schools. The package that they had for me at Platteville, Wisconsin, you couldn't, it was a financial decision. I think each semester only cost me like $2,000, and that included my books and everything. Nothing, even with 50% scholarships, nothing came close to that.
Platteville, Wisconsin, in case you guys didn't know, is on the very almost west border of Wisconsin. There's literally nothing there between Milwaukee and perhaps, I don't know, Salt Lake.
It's a lot of cornfields.
There's a lot of dirt going on.
The only thing that's in this town is the school. There's a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, 17 bars, and a school.
Do you know a guy named Jerry Bench?
Jerry Bench.
He lived in Platteville. I knew a guy from there. Anyway,
I don't know.
Gerald Bench, actually. Well, cool. So there you are in Platteville. You've got the scholarship. You are living your best life. What's life like in Platteville? It's just all baseball because there's nothing else to do.
For whatever this is worth, Wisconsin is one of my favorite places. The people up there are on a different level.
Agreed.
I wish the rest of the country could see how people interact in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's different.
They're friendly.
Oh my God, friends for life.
Yeah.
And true, genuine guys, to the point, like I showed up, I didn't know anybody, nobody there. And half the team was waiting for me at my house because they hooked me up with a house. They like, this will be where you're staying. Here's your roommates, blah, blah, blah. Here's all your stuff. Half the team was waiting for me in the driveway when I showed up. I didn't lift a single thing from my car. They all carried it all up. And that really, like, that was Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lived in Wisconsin for quite a few years, and I love it out there. If they didn't have winter like they do.
Truly.
I would be a Wisconsinite,
yes.
But man, Wisconsin winters are no joke.
You have to make enough money that if you did live there, you have to be able to go somewhere warm 2 or 3 times in the winter.
Florida,
yeah,
as they say in Wisconsin.
On a boat in Florida.
A boat in Florida. There's no A in, is there? Anyway, Yeah, I love Wisconsin. So in Platteville, what are some of the things you took away from being a part of that organization? And because that seems like that's where you kind of finished up your education, your college is in Platteville. Is that correct?
Well, no, I was at baseball first. So when I got up there, between all of that, now we've got 4 schools that I've been to at this point, and I don't know if you guys know this, but transferring through to those guys, nobody wants to take credits from anywhere, right?
Is that true? So you had to
yeah.
like start from scratch?
Yeah, almost.
So college was like 9 years for you?
I have a 6 or 7 year, 4-year degree. Yeah.
Oh,
not
man.
even intentional, because I came back to finish the degree and I went to the U, and they gave me 2/3 credits basically for everything. So I basically had to redo the whole thing.
What?
Yeah, it was and I even made a joke. They didn't think it was this funny. I'm like, I know this is just a cash grab. Just tell me what the bill is and let me pay it. Quit taking all my time. I've taken these classes.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't really have that. But no, the people up there, what I learned for the first time in my life, that was what true friendship was. It did not matter. Ironically, my best friend Kevin, he was the starting catcher the year before I got there. Okay. And I came in and took his job for the next 2 years. Okay. And even his parents, they're like, when we first heard about you, we wanted to hate you and this, that, and the other. He is the nicest, most genuine person I have ever met. And we are best friends. And it didn't matter what happened on the field. That was always true.
That's awesome.
And that's where I learned about brotherhood and what that actually means.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. There's very few, I can't remember the name of the baseball movie it was, but he talks about the connection is like on a baseball team or maybe in battle. He likes talking about like there's 2 true brotherhoods, and it's you're in the foxhole with somebody or you're on a baseball team. And I thought that was an interesting perspective. I'm trying to remember the movie. Anyway, you in your developing growing up, a lot of team mentality was a part of who you are. How has that affected your life?
Well, even growing up, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. And the family dynamic, I was the leader literally since 4 years old. Every team that I was on, I was a captain or a leader on. At this point, I actually don't really consciously think about it. It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And you learn stuff, if you're going to lead a team of college boys, you better be outworking everybody. You better lead by example and
Lead from the front.
Yeah, you have to, and uphold the standard that is set before you before anybody else does. That's how you gain respect.
So in this I'm going to call it a dogma. It's a religion. I've seen these team people. I'm one of them. I'm a team person. In this dogma, in this system of belief, the biggest sin that can be committed is the sin of you don't got your brother's back.
Yes.
And did you ever in your baseball career come across this sin, and is it something that can be forgiven? Because it seems to me like in baseball, you're either a brother or you're not. That's how it feels to me. It's like law enforcement or when I was in the military, either you are or you're not.
Well, I think what happens is that you show your true colors, and you only get one real chance to show your true colors. Now you can switch teams and whatever, but you get a rep, and that goes counter to the culture. Okay, the culture is we are a team. We are going to wake up at 5 a.m. with each other, and we're going to go work out. We're going to do hard stuff, and we're going to get our ass kicked. The coaches are going to yell at us, blah, blah, blah.
But we're all going to do it together.
We're going to do it together. And if you're not about that, you're going to find yourself weeded out real fast.
Yeah.
That I'm sure it's happened, and when you get into pro ball, you get into a different kind of problem where you get cocky and arrogant. But at the college and high school level, that's really more of the team atmosphere. And that's and even the coaches, that's not what they want. They want you guys to play as a team.
Right.
It's
unit.
a team game.
Yeah.
And so the whole focus, and that's all of baseball, all the way through even Little League and whatnot. It was always about be a team player. Be a team, be a leader was my calling. I'm catching and whatnot. Be a leader. What does that mean? That means you have everybody's back.
Yeah.
And my job, and I wear things kind of personally. If you're going to attack one of my teammates, I'm the first one there.
Right.
So this high level of ownership or extreme responsibility that I'm understanding you talking about, has there been opportunities in your life that has really benefited you or helped carry you forward outside of baseball?
I think that the thing that I think is so cool about extreme ownership is it's freeing. Okay, taking extreme ownership means that you acknowledge that you had a role to play in it, which also means that you have a role to do something about it. So taking extreme ownership, it's kind of scary for a lot of people at first, okay, but it's really not. It's actually one of the most freeing things that you can do. I
Gets
have
rid
it.
of the victim.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it puts you in the driver's seat. And anytime you're as a man, if you're in the driver's seat, you're going to be a lot happier than sitting in the back playing victim and letting somebody else drive.
Agreed.
Something interesting about the American Masterminds that I find particularly interesting is that our group is flush with leadership. There's all of us, every single one of us has leadership, not only responsibility, but capabilities. And we all lead in our own ways. And there's periods of time where it's your turn, it's my turn, it's Jared's turn to step up. My question and where I'm going with this is how, as a strong leader, do you find you're a way to manage working with other strong leaders? Because we have a really very powerful group, big energy in our group. There's no, what do they call that? There's no one that's shy in our group. Everybody has an opinion and everybody's prepared to share it willingly. And so how do you manage that or navigate through being in a room full of leaders?
You have the same thing.
Question.
You have the same thing because at every level in baseball, right? You go from high school to college. Well, all the leaders on their high school teams, that's now makes up the team for college. And the few leaders at the college team, that's now what makes up the leaders on the pro teams.
Those are the ones that carry forward.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Usually because as men, when we're left to our own devices in a competitive setting like that, in a team environment like that, right? We are naturally predispositioned to putting together a hierarchy. We know who, whether everybody wants to admit it or not, we know damn well who the best player is on the team. And it's already been established. We didn't have a meeting about it. We didn't talk about it. But if you ask anybody on the team, we know who that is.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different paths to leadership in a group. And I'll take it out of the masterminds and keep it on the baseball side here, okay? Number one, hardest worker gains brownie points. You can outwork your way to being the guy. If you are the best, okay, that's another way to get there. All right? But it has been my experience that the one who is willing to go the furthest, the one who is willing to be there, the one who says and does what they say they're going to do, that's what formulates it, being a leader amongst leaders.
Right.
That's a pretty powerful moral compass, those three principles.
What I've learned is if you're going to sit at the top and you're going to call yourself a leader, number one, let's talk about leadership, okay? If you have some grand illusion, leadership is a burden. It is not sitting at, I'm a king. That has nothing to do with it, okay? If you're going to be a leader, here's what comes with that territory. You're going to outwork everybody. You're going to be up around the clock, okay? If there's a problem going on with anybody around you, guess whose job it is to deal with it? It's yours, because if it goes to the coach, all right, we're all running.
Right.
That's not acceptable. So it's up to you to fix this.
Handle this in-house.
Yeah, 100%. So it's that kind of stuff. It's having the mindset. It's having
Not only
everybody's
that,
back stronger.
But if something does go down and the coach does find out, you're the one.
I'm the one on the line.
You're the one on the line.
Yeah,
You're going to hear
100%.
about it.
Growing up,
Everybody's looking up to you to manage that.
which was never a new thing for me. Growing up, if Landon and Lexi did something,
Yeah,
I got in trouble
Topher.
for it. 100%. Across the board.
Which is funny.
I wasn't even there.
That's
what
how,
are you talking about?
That's how it goes down at my house too. The oldest.
You're the one in
You're
trouble.
the example, and she doesn't like that. But
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Being a leader's a burden.
right.
It's not fun. Sitting at the top is lonely.
But it is cool to see. It's cool to see her in that. Wear that hat, the
Sure.
leader hat.
and she'll get there.
Yeah.
I got
Well, she is a leader. I've
some-
seen her. I've seen her
sometimes-
around other kids.
Yeah.
She's that person.
I call her bossy a lot, but she's a leader. It doesn't matter who she's hanging out with either. It doesn't matter what kid's around.
So I'm hearing leadership is a burden, but in my experience with leadership, it's more of I like to lead through service. I am the first one in, the last one out. I'm trying to make sure that everything is good for the other guys. I'm trying to do my best, and that's leadership in my opinion. It's service.
Yes.
Ownership, of course, is a big part of it, but it's not a burden when you're doing. And the teams that I've served, I genuinely love those guys. It's an easy thing for me to do, to serve in leadership.
Well, that's
Do you get what I'm saying?
100%. What I mean by a burden, myself, and I know you're the same way, okay? It comes naturally to me. This is the role that I've been in.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody is made to be a leader, and that's perfectly okay. Good, perfect example, if we're going to keep it in the group, is Scott. Okay? Scott is a phenomenal number 2. He'll tell you this to your face. Like, I don't want to be the face. He's
Right.
not on the podcast. It wants nothing to do with it. Part of recognizing your role is also what makes a good team player. And not everybody is a leader. Again, if you approach the leaders that I've met that are very successful, when I say burden, it's the weight of what that means, okay? And they don't take it lightly. And they understand that this comes with a set and a standard. And you have to be the one. Look at Tom Brady.
But it's no question. It's not.
No.
It's I'm this guy.
This is who I am. And I
Have you
can't
read
turn it
even
off.
even if it is a slight burden, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to be.
Have you read the book Rocket Fuel? We
Yes.
talked about that. So Scott, in this book Rocket Fuel, it talks about how these great Apple and Microsoft and Disney and all these different Disney's a great one. Walt was, of course, the leader. It was Walt Disney. It's the show, but his brother was Scott. Was the Scott of the group, and he led his own way. He spoke to his own genius, and that was finding the land and the organization and creating the tool for Walt, the big dreamer, to deliver on all of these crazy ideas that no one. I want to create an amusement park that everyone in the world wants to come to, and everybody was like,
It doesn't just happen on its own.
"You're nuts, buddy. That's not a thing." And so they made that. And so I think that leadership is kind of it's a slippery slope, because leadership can happen in so many subtle ways. And back to Scott, I think Scott is a tremendous leader when he makes up his mind that he's going to own it. You step away, just step away. I'm going to do this. I don't need your help. I got this, until he needs your help.
Right.
So he's a powerful leader in his space. And so
I agree with that.
But is that a
in this
leader
space.
or is that a person of caliber?
it's a leader. He's a leader. I think being a true leader is someone that can be like, you know what? Topher's more talented at this than I am. I'm going to surrender because I know he's more powerful because it will serve my team better. That's leadership.
Yes, and that's the burden.
I don't have to stand at the front of the line all the time to make this great. In fact, a great leader is someone who can step back and realize, okay, Jared, actually, he's a genius in this area. I'm good, but this guy's great. I'm going to step back. And that's leadership, is like allowing others to be great. You're a great catcher. You're a great pitcher. I'm a great outfielder. Stay out of
Let
my
it go.
way.
Yeah. That is a huge lesson. It's a big, big lesson.
Yeah.
That I can't pitch. I have one pitch. It is straight. It actually kind of rises a little bit. Okay. You ask me to put anything different on it. I can't do it.
It's a talent.
It's a talent.
Yeah.
Pitchers need the catcher.
Yeah.
Okay. I also can't do shortstop. Right.
Yeah.
That guy is way more athletic than where on any of these teams.
Yeah.
He is way more athletic than I am.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
That's your number one athlete.
Yeah.
We need him over there.
Got to be fast, man.
You got to be fast. Yep.
Amazing stuff. So now we've been at Platt. You've gone through college. You've built these relationships, and now we're looking at the big leagues. We're stepping out onto the field, the show, because it's no longer about. Well, I would like to think that it's no longer about significance. It's about you're bringing your true value. If you don't bring a tremendous amount of value into this environment, you're not in it. You are not a part of it. What did that sacrifice look like to you?
Well, I'm going to have to finish the story here to get there.
all right.
So my senior year of college, okay, I was getting draft letters from Tigers and a couple of other teams, big league teams. Everything was going well. My parents came out to watch. We had, I think it was 10 games in a 12-day stretch or something like that, and they came out for it. And at the seventh inning of the first game, and I still to this day, I don't even know how this happened, okay? But I caught a 96-mile-an-hour fastball right here to the temple,
Oh my God.
okay? And it gave me, this is kind of funny. So I got hit, okay? I don't know what happened. I blacked out with the ball 10, 15 feet away from me. I don't remember this happening. It hit me. I dropped like a sack of potatoes. And then somehow I managed to get myself up, and I got down to first base, and the trainer came out. And I'll never forget, she was asking me, hey, I'm like, and I'm yelling at her. I'm fine. Do not come over here. I don't need you. get away from me, okay? And I'm kind of irate, and I don't really know. I'm a little confused. She goes, no, I understand. I just have to ask you some quick questions, okay? She goes, what was the count when you got hit? And I said 2-2. It was like 1-0, okay? She goes, how many outs are there? I said 2. I don't think there were any outs. She goes, what inning is it? And now my coach is in the back. He's at first base. He's like, this. Just going like this. And I'm like, 6. It's the 6th inning. It was the 3rd. He was trying to show me 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, put one hand up, dude.
There's not
She
6
goes,
innings.
what town are you in? And I said, we're in Wisconsin. She goes, I know, but what town are you in? I said, we're in Platteville. We were in La Crosse. She goes, you're going to have to come over here and sit down with me for a while. And I said, okay. And she takes me over to the dugout. I threw up all over everything.
Concussion.
It's super bad. And once I sat down, that's when it like actually took. And I couldn't, like if you were saying a sentence to me, I could recognize words. I couldn't string them together. It was like living in Gibberishville for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
So all of the draft stuff that was going on, all of it, gone, done. Okay. I've basically been replaced at this point. We're a month of a 2-month long season before I could actually come back. Okay. My parents came out. They didn't get to see me play any of those games. Thought I was done. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And so I got done thinking that this dream was completely over.
Just a carpet pulled out from underneath.
Just done. And Alex Neely gives me a call. He goes, hey, I got one more contact for you. And it was a guy with independent professional baseball. And so they go, well, no promises, but you've been on the radar, so we know who you are. So come down here. They sent me to a winter league in Fort Worth, Texas, or San Antonio, Texas. And
Great town.
we played out there, and I had to literally climb my way back from nothing. Okay, and I played in independent ball. I played for 16 teams over 3 years. I bounced around all over the place, which is kind of par for the course. This one time I was in Fort Worth, Texas. I got traded to Roswell, New Mexico, but that was an hour outside of Roswell driving there. They traded me to Tiffin, Ohio. So I turned around and drove to Tiffin, Ohio. I played 2 games. They traded me to Adrian, Michigan. Went up there and played 2 more games, and Adrian, Michigan traded me back down to Roswell. Like, you guys couldn't have coordinated this at all.
It's like in a week's time.
In a week's time. And then I got transferred back. So I show up. This is basically 2 weeks of driving, okay? Circle back, show up to Roswell at 3 o'clock. Batting practice is at 4:30. And now my career is on the line, okay? So at 4:30, been driving for 2 weeks. You better go out there and perform. That's how independent baseball works.
How old are you now? You're like 22?
I would have been 23, something like that.
Okay.
And so I go into that. I did well enough to come back the next year. And independent baseball it's a hit and miss, man. Their leagues come up, they go down. They're not affiliated. It's hard, but this is the avenue to get there if you don't have anything else. And so I did well. That winter league, that was probably the best season that I ever had. I led the league in home runs.
Wow.
So I'm 5'8" or 6'2", depending on the program you're looking at. And that whole thing, Jose Canseco was there, and he hated my guts.
Jose Canseco hates your guts?
Hates my guts. Huh. He would not talk to me, okay, because he believes, which was really funny. So I don't know if you guys know this. Jose is a twin, okay, and now
I did not know that.
Yeah, his brother. Now I can't think of his name.
Jose B. Canseco.
Jose B. Canseco.
But boom, dad jokes for days.
Both of those guys
Dad
were
owned
there.
a gas station.
Jose Canseco is absolutely massive. Okay.
Really?
Like gigantic. And
how
at
tall
50,
would you say?
He's got to be 6'4", 6'5",
Wow.
270 pounds, pure steroids and cocaine. Okay, just I've never seen anybody like. I don't know. Well, screw him. He's kind of a scumbag. He was doing lines. He got a couple of at-bats, like promo at-bats in these games. And he would do lines of Coke in the clubhouse and go out and take his at-bat.
Totally lit?
Totally lit. 100%. And I'm telling you, even with that human has more talent in his pinky than I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
Watching him swing a bat at 55 years old, I'll never forget sitting. He's got a 36-inch bat. Okay, this thing is a log. I would carry this with 2 hands. Okay, 36-inch bat. He's out there swinging it one-handed and putting balls out of the park, and it's like
With one arm.
With one arm, and I just remember watching him going.
I'm sorry, Jose,
no
if you heard my
way.
joke about your brother's name. I'm sorry, dude.
He's he shot his other hand.
Anyway,
That's fine. But his brother, Jose Canseco, would not talk to me because I wasn't big enough to be a power hitter, and it annoyed him that I was leading the league in home runs. So he calls together. This is like a week left of the season, and he calls me out there. He motherfucks me up one side and down the other, and I'm like, what in the? He wouldn't let me in the power hitter group. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't nothing. Okay, and he gets up there. You assholes are letting this little pissant squirt out hit you, just blah, 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 going off. His brother, it was so bad, his brother comes up, puts his arm around me and goes, hey, let's go for a walk real quick. And this is where he explains, like, Jose's a little simple, okay? You're not tall enough and big enough to be a power hitter to him. So it's annoying to him. He goes, I'm really sorry. You're doing great. Keep going. But
that's nuts.
That was kind of a wild one. But so anyway, we going through, bouncing around. The second year, I ended up in the first league that they traded me to was up in Washington, and that league went under 2 weeks in. So you had this whole league of, call it 200 some odd players now looking for a place to play.
Man.
A whole league?
A whole league.
Under?
2 weeks into this, they ran out of money, and they couldn't float it anymore. And so there was another league, the Ozark League. Later, like 5 years later, I found out this was an entire big scam.
Ooh.
I still don't know what his angle was, okay? But this is a very important part of the story here, okay? So we go to the Ozarks down in Springfield, Missouri. And we're going along and everything, and they had us like set up. They put us in a hotel. They said, here's the field. We're going to run a couple weeks of practices, and then we'll get games going. Okay, great. Sounds good. We're in this hotel, and I was one of the few that had a truck. And this one day, I don't remember why I was a little late leaving the hotel, okay? And this big, huge guy, his name was Daryl. Don't remember what his last name is. He's just standing on the corner. It's like he had just showed up. He had his bags like over his shoulder. He had his bat, and he's just standing on the corner. And I pulled up and I went, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I think I'm here to play baseball. And I said, well, where? He goes, I don't know. There's got to be a bus or something. I'm looking around going, no, there's not. How are you going to get to the field? He goes, God will figure it out.
Huh.
And I said, get in. I can't prove this, and there is nobody outside of me that's going to know this. I am 1,000% convinced that Daryl was an angel. Okay? I firmly believe that. Okay? The 2 months that I was in the Ozarks, we never played a game. Okay? We were at this hotel. They ended up kicking us out of this hotel. Now, they were stringing us along going, guys, we just can't afford the hotel, but there's the field. Games are coming. There was nowhere else for us to go. Okay? And so we're out there, but I met Daryl, and it ended up being a 2-month spiritual journey with this guy. We talked about everything. Okay? He's the one that really, God is simple. Simple is divine. Okay? When people complicate things, they're muddying the waters. That's ego getting involved. Him and I traveled around. They dropped us out of the hotel. Now, I had money. Daryl and this other gentleman that was with us didn't. Okay? Daryl, I don't think had a dime to his name. What are we going to do? We can't go get a hotel to wait this out. What are we going to do? Daryl would do stuff where he would be sitting there and he goes, I think we need to take a nap. And then when we're going to take a nap, then we're going to get up and I think we're going to go walk over there. Daryl, we're not going to make it anywhere, man. We got to figure that, like, we don't have a place to stay tonight. What are we going to do? Here in an hour, you're going to walk into that building over there, and you're going to start talking, and we'll see what happens. I walk into that building. It was a basketball gym. Okay, and I walk in and go, listen, I had inklings at this point. Like, there's something special with him. And I walk in, and he goes, this guy, I don't remember his name. He comes up, and he goes, can I help you guys? And I said, yeah, my name's Topher, and I know that this is really, really weird. We're in this professional baseball league over here, and we're kind of stuck. I know this isn't even your sport, but we need a place to stay. And I was just wondering, you've got a big, beautiful gym here. Would you let us crash on the floor? He goes, what? What are you talking about? I know it's weird, but Daryl over here, who's he's gone now. Like, he's nowhere to be found for this conversation. Because also, we're in a basketball gym. Daryl is a 6'6" black dude, jacked. It would have been nice to have some street cred on this.
Yeah.
Whatever. We go in there, and he goes, I feel really compelled. I'll be right back. I don't know who he called or what he did. He called somebody. Here comes this pastor. Okay? He goes, why don't you guys meet us for dinner tonight? We'll feed you. Maybe we'll figure out something that's going on. These guys take us to the best steak I've had. Mind you, we are living on peanut butter and jellies at this point, right? He takes us to a steakhouse, everything, all of it, the full 9, everything we wanted, right? Put it in there. And Daryl leans over and goes, I told you. Just wait. Open yourself up and let God work. Okay. He makes a phone call. We introduce each other. He makes a phone call to this guy. That same night, we are staying in a mansion with our own rooms, okay? Everything taken care of. The guy lined us up with a job in the mornings with a guy down here. We were going to go and we'd do some landscaping for him in the morning. We'll do some coaching for his kids in the afternoon, and we'll go play our games and do our pro stuff at night. Within a couple of hours.
Man.
In the middle of nowhere. I don't know anybody. This wasn't phoned in. And Daryl would go, that's how we do it. You have to sit back. You have to trust. The final words that I heard from him is, because we were talking about, like, well, what do you do next? We're past the trade deadline. There isn't any options. And he would pray on it and meditate on it. And then he came to me and he said, Topher, time is done. It's time for you to go. You're going to go. Your dad has a contact, and you need to go find him and call him. Okay. Call Dad. Dad, do you have a baseball contact that I don't know about? Turns out my dad grew up with Mike Devereaux. Okay? Born in the same hospital room as him. And he is the hitting coach for the Asheville Tourists. Okay. Daryl goes, it's time for you to drive to Asheville. All right. At this point, with all the teachings, all the spirituality, all this, I've watched this. We needed something, and he would say, pray about it. Be patient. Sit here. It will come. It was absolutely, again, I'm 100% convinced that he was an angel.
Were you raised in a spiritual household? Like, was this like
we went to church? No.
No, it wasn't language you used it growing up. No. Nothing that you were used to at all.
We went to church, like,
not the same.
Not the same.
Yeah.
No.
So this guy's walking the walk.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I will never, for the rest of my life, because it was heartbreaking, right? Your time is done. It's time for you to go. What the hell does that mean?
Daryl.
So, okay. So now we go to Asheville, and we're going to go find Mike Devereaux, who's never seen me, heard from me, anything. Okay, they're in the middle of a season. Dad somehow finds his number, okay, and he's starting to call him, but he can't get a hold of him. So I sleep out in my truck for 3 days, petitioning when those guys showed up to the ballpark, which is usually about 1 o'clock, petitioning outside. Mr. Devereaux, hey, listen, my name's Topher Scheeler. You know my dad. Will you give me 5 minutes of your time? Please, give me 5 minutes of your time. The first 2 days, he's like, get the hell out of here. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Right? Showed up again, sitting out there, 1 o'clock. Nobody else is there. Hey, just 5 minutes, please. Please, 5 minutes. I drove across the country. Give me 5 minutes. Okay. Finally comes out, and my dad must have gotten, I've never asked him, and my dad must have gotten a hold of him because he came up and he goes, all right, one for the neighborhood. Okay, let's go. Grab my shit, go down in the tunnels. I start hitting with him. And 15 swings into this, he stops and goes, what the hell?
Where have you been?
Why aren't you playing somewhere?
Yeah.
I said, I have no idea. You tell me.
Yeah.
He goes, well, as it happens, today's Wednesday. It's catcher's defensive day. Go get strapped up. We'll put you out there and see what's what. Okay. So he does that. I go up. Guys, if there was ever a day of my life to have this day, I had that day.
Really?
At that moment.
Everything
like,
lined up.
Completely out of my body, everything. I had one error. Okay. So they sent me down to the bullpen, and I had to catch. They had one pitcher. He threw like 93 miles an hour from over here. He had
Sidearm.
not a clue where this ball was going, and it moved, dunked, dived all over the place. None of their catchers could catch him. He was a problem. Okay.
What's that movie with that guy that's like he's got a crazy fastball but just no control? What's that movie?
Bull Durham.
Bull Durham. And it's the catcher
Yeah.
that makes this happen. I love the story. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's such a great movie.
So no, it's my favorite baseball movie. But no, I get up there and I'm talking every single one of them. Didn't miss one. Okay.
That this guy was dropping.
Then they go, huh? The pitcher comes up, and goes, holy shit, great job back there. What's your name? Are you coming on? I'm pitching tonight. You want to?
Yeah.
You want to stop the ball for me? I'd love to. Coach comes up and goes, all right, let's see if you can throw it. Take me down. We do some drills. This was my one error. The very first ball I threw to center field fence, like
Drilled it.
just not even in the vicinity.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. The next, I threw 10 total, so 9 more, and then I threw 10 to third base. If I could hit this button, is where every single one of them hit.
Yeah.
And they were all at least 1/10, if not 2/10 faster than their guys. At this point, I now have the entire coaching staff out on this field.
Watching.
Okay. All right, let's go see what you got. Let's take you out and hitting. Same thing. The one day to have your day, this was this day.
Couldn't miss.
Couldn't miss. Everything hit. Okay. And Daryl told me to be here.
Yeah.
This is it. Okay. Now at this point, I get done hitting. I look in the dugout. I know who the scouts are, right? I've got all the coaches and Mike's down there. Every single one of them is on the phone.
So, hey.
So we might have found something here. They're calling the big office in Colorado. The Asheville Tourists are the single A team for the Colorado Rockies. The problem was I was a college guy. I was too old. There's different business models for the different teams. Okay. So the Rockies business model, in part, the Rockies aren't perennial winners for a reason. They have a hell of a farm system, arguably one of the best. Their business is flipping players. So they'll bring them up through their farm system. Their draft is real good. They'll bring them up, and then they'll sell
Switch
them
out. Yeah.
Right? So they want high school kids. So it wasn't a referendum on me. It was a referendum. Their model didn't fit this.
Yeah.
Okay? So Mike comes out and he goes, I don't know. But I've got a contact with the Orioles. Let me call them. Okay. 2 more days go by. Now I'm getting low on funds at this point, okay? I'm sleeping in the car for a reason. This has been a very long summer. So he goes out, and into his credit, at this point he gave me tickets to the game. I hung out with his wife and his kids. Like it was a good time. But after the third game of watching him, and he comes up and goes, "Hey, I haven't heard anything back from him." Also, the trade deadline for the MLB we were like in the 2-week period of all this stuff going on. So
Open enrollment.
Right. So the GMs and scouts and everybody were very, busy.
Right.
And so he gets done with that third game and it's like, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to be patient and let this happen. Well, I can't wait any longer. This time is running out.
You're broke.
I'm broke. This is it. And I now have a season outside of pro ball. My prospects are not coming back around.
Right.
Okay. So I get done with that game. I'm sitting out in the truck, and I watched all the players leave. And I said, this gets super strong gut. Like I could hear Daryl again going, go. So I drove to Baltimore. And the guy, Mike had told me the name, who is another Mike, by the way, of the guy he was trying to call in the front office in Baltimore. So I drove there, showed up early, got there at about 9:30, 10 o'clock, drove through the night, showed up at the Baltimore thing, and I had to talk my way through all the various gatekeepers. He was up on the 5th floor, so I had to talk my way through all the gatekeepers, got up there, found his office, found him, knocked on the door, and said, hey, Mike Devereaux's trying to call you. Will you please pick up the phone? By the time he kicked me out, okay, who the hell are you? Get the hell out of here. I'm going to call security. By the time I got down the stairs, I got a call from Mike Devereaux. What in the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And I said, Mike, I'm on a time crunch. I can't do this. I have to make something happen. And he goes, how far are you willing to go? I said, obviously, as far as I can possibly go.
Yeah.
I've got a contact with the Washington Nationals. I'm on my way. So I drove to Washington. Same thing. You want to talk about sales game? There really isn't anything harder than trying to sell yourself to these people that have all this data, all this magic of stuff and people and everything, right?
And they have no idea
They have no idea who the hell I am. And I would show up. I went there. I went to Cincinnati. I went to Philadelphia. I went to...
No way.
I hit all of them. And Mike was behind me calling to anybody that he could. Ironically, I never actually met anybody that he was trying to call other than the first guy. So I was showing up to these places, literally talking my way in and trying to get to the GM. Okay?
Man.
I got a couple of we'll call you later. We'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. I ended up in Boston. Those guys were awesome. Okay? They went to Boston. The owner, so I'm in there trying to get through. I'm talking to the GM, and the owner happens to walk by, okay? And he heard my story and what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to beg you to give me a job here. The owner comes in and goes, what's your deal? And I told him, I said, I'm a baseball player. I got kicked out of this league, or this league went belly up. I'm looking for somebody to give me a shot here. They were really cool. I always say I was a Red Sox for 36 hours, right? He goes, well, how about this? Well, let me see what I can do. It was the owner, which was really cool. Let me see what I can do, and how about this? You go to the game tonight. He gives me this gold card. I said, what's this? And he goes, well, that's kind of your ticket. Whatever food, whatever seat you want to sit in, whatever anything you want.
That's the card.
You just show them this card, and you've got it taken care of.
Wow.
Best baseball game I've ever been to.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a blast. So it went there, got to touch the green monster and all that stuff. Like I was a little kid just walking around. I felt like a Red Sox for a day, and I thought,
This is great.
But through all this stuff with Daryl and whatnot, I kept having these dreams that I was in pinstripes. Okay? Well, if you know anything about baseball, when you think pinstripes, that's the Yankees. Okay? So I had this thought of I really believe that it's going to be the Yankees that does this. So when the Red Sox came back the next morning, he called me and said, hey, there's just really nothing we can do at this point in time. I said, great, okay. So now I'm a little bit excited, but I've been on the road all summer. I've been sleeping in my truck. I am done, okay? And I said, okay, it's Yankee time. I think the White House probably doesn't have as good a security as Yankee Stadium. I talked my way into everybody else and got where I needed to go. I couldn't make it through the front door at Yankee Stadium.
No kidding.
Okay, so I've had all these dreams of pinstripes, thinking that was maybe this is just all the journey. I just have to get to the Bronx. That's going to be the one that gets me there.
Man.
And I couldn't get into the flipping front door.
Wow.
I'm talking firstborn and blood and semen level of security. Okay, it's unbelievable. So I'm done at this point. I'm dejected. I don't think this is going to work.
Ideas,
I'm out of
money,
ideas.
out of gas.
I really thought I was holding on through all of those no's and everything. I was holding on to because I thought the Yankees, it was the pinstripe dream. It's
gonna hit.
It's going to hit. I just have to get to the Yankees. And I couldn't get in the front door. And I called my mom, and I'm almost in tears.
Dejected.
I can't do this. And she goes, just go one more. You're already in New York. Go one more. Okay? I said, all right, I'll go to the Mets. So I go to the Mets. And if I could give you when I say tired, I mean emotionally drained. I'm talking like just done, ready to quit. I've made my peace. The Yankees, I thought that was the dream. It didn't work. And I'm kind of mad at Daryl. What the hell's going on? So I go to New York, and I'm walking in, and I go, hey, I need to talk to the GM. What? Yeah, I need to talk to the GM. And like, I don't even know how I got it because my energy was just not, I couldn't even fake it, right? Somehow, the actual GM answered the call, came down the elevator, and met me out in the lobby.
What?
Okay? No bullshit. I also found out a month later, this very day, I know this won't mean anything to you, that day that I was there, the hour I was there, they had just made this big trade for Yoenis Cespedes, okay, which was the blockbuster trade of that summer. Okay, so he had just gotten this done, and he decided he was going to come back and see who the hell this guy is asking for him in the lobby. Okay, he comes down. I see him get off the elevator. I have never in my life had a switch flipped inside of me quite like this.
Boom.
I went from completely dejected to up full energy, and by the time I am in the GM's face, I've got a finger going, I'm going to make somebody look like a flippin' genius. I need somebody to give me a flippin', just a chance. Just send me down to spring. I'll show you everything. I will show you everything. Give me a chance. The guy goes, I have no idea who the hell you are. I have no idea if you can play. I have no idea. But you've got balls of frickin' steel. Done. We'll invite you to spring training. I go, thank you. Here's my number. We'll be in touch. And off I went. I walk outside. I collapsed on the ground. Like the euphoric feeling of what just happened. What just happened?
Wow.
That's how I got my chance with the New York Mets.
This is like a movie.
It's like a movie.
This is like a movie.
I'm digging this story. This is crazy cool. So you didn't quit. You kept going. Even the one more chance. There's so many lessons here. There's so many morals, life lessons. Like it's always that one last try, that one last phone call, the one last effort.
No quit.
No
Just
quitting.
don't
Just
stop.
don't stop until just keep going. Just keep
look
going
at all the no's
along the way.
If I listened to any of those, I'd have quit in elementary school.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is it's not like a no over the phone. It's like I just drove to Cincinnati and you're going to tell me no, and I'm going to drive all the way to Washington. You're going to tell me no. It's a significant no. It's not just a
Well,
You're out of money. You're in your truck.
sleeping like a hobo on the street eating hot dogs.
This was also my identity.
Yeah.
So not only was it hard to go and do that, okay, the sales techniques and that you got to get out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking like it's one thing to go to an office building. There's the door, you can see it.
Yeah.
These are the cathedrals that I grew up idolizing. I
Yeah.
have pictures of this building in my room. Also, for whatever it's worth, the New York Mets wear pinstripes.
Huh. Very cool. So you show up for spring training. Things go great.
I had 3 weeks at spring training with the Mets. I got to hang around and be around all these guys. And then the draft came, and they drafted 4 high school catchers.
Son of a
And they
biscuit.
came to me, and what you kind of figure out in pro ball, unfortunately, politics and everything plays a hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no money in me. I was dispensable.
Yeah.
That was it. But I was there, and I accomplished what I set out to do. I got to play an MLB sanctioned game. That was the goal because nobody could take that away from me. Which, hindsight, make sure you set your goals correctly because that's exactly what I got.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. If I could just get one game, I'm a professional baseball player, and the goal for me has always been to go into coaching. And if I was a professional, nobody could take that away from me. I will forever be, even if it's one game, I will forever be a professional baseball player.
Wow.
I got my one game with the Mets. That was it.
Man. It'd be interesting. What a experience to step out on that field and
That's a
have
story.
arrived after this long journey of no and rejection and practice and injury and all of these things. And now here we are on the field for our first game, and the lights and the smells and the sounds and all the things. Like, it must have been Must have been wonderful. Must have been a wonderful night, a wonderful experience to have that, in your mind.
Finally have made it.
Yeah.
And I got my one hit. That feeling that you're describing, it was a double to right center gap. Okay, I struck out 2 other times, but I got one, and that one, and I was standing on second base, and because before I'm so like, this is it, this is the shot,
Yeah.
right, and you're kind of panicked where you're not even really seeing the crowd or anything else. I'm hyper focused.
You're in the zone.
But when I got to second base and I looked up and I got the crowd. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm
Center
there.
stage, baby.
I did it.
Yeah.
And the crowd's cheering and everything, and it's like that was it. That one moment. 20 years went into getting that one moment.
Interesting. So now take us from there to the next, because I know that there's a next. There's always a next, and it's interesting. I've known you for a minute, and I didn't know anything about this. It's an amazing story. Like that's worthy of a movie. You should start picking out your soundtrack, bro. That would be cool. What was the next after, now the Mets aren't going to pick me up, and what did you do then?
Well, here's the hard part. Okay, so I get done with the Mets, and it was like I died. Okay, my entire identity, my entire purpose, my entire being was wrapped up into doing that. It was everything I did. Nothing that I did in the course of from the way I ate, my sleeping patterns, what I did for fun, everything was tied to baseball. I still to this day have never stepped foot on a skateboard because you might get hurt for baseball.
Break your wrist or
Right.
something. Yeah.
So it was literally like a death. I died. And then you find yourself, in a weird conundrum where
How old are you now? 24,
I've been
25?
24. No, I was 26.
26.
I was 26 because when they told me I was too old, I was actually 25, and I was turning 26 in the next month.
Man.
So, which is kind of funny. You're too old at 25.
25.
Yeah, but so the back half now has really been about the grieving process. Took a lot longer than I was willing to give it credit for, and I'm not proud of that because everything else that I've done, look at all the no's and the rejection and everything that I did overcome. Why would I fail at this?
Right.
But I had to go and finish school, and now it's more. I'm in the reflective. I learned so much from doing all of that, and it does directly apply to life and what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Right. So this new wave. So we got like the baseball period. Then there was the really angry period, which was about, honestly, 5 years, 6 years. And, there's emotions where you're suppressing it. You got to find your identity again. And
So it was like a real mourning process.
100%.
Denial,
Yeah.
anger.
To the point where, like, going to the gym, it's not, and even to this day, that's what it took. The gym, to me, is a completely different spot than it is to 99% of everybody else. That was pain. That was it, pushing yourself to absolute limits.
It's a failure.
And I still haven't quite gotten that back. Now I'm doing stuff right now. Right before this podcast, I went and did some coaching. My entire mindset, like, it shifts. That is the fuel to my soul. It really is.
It's interesting that you say that. I called you and you were on your way over here. Like, hey, where are you at? And the Topher that answered the phone was the Topher that I love and want to be around. He's the guy that's anything is possible. This is great. Where are we going? It's cool to see you coming into your genius. And that's what it is. It's a cool thing to witness that. And then also to hear this, like, man, you're charged. Your cup is full. We're coming over here with this amazing attitude, which it's been difficult in the last couple of weeks and months. We're under a tremendous amount of stress to perform and do different things. And that's not the Topher that I've been around for the past month or two. And so it was interesting to hear this shift. And so I think, and I believe this about me too, when I'm doing something that I'm really in love with, like passionately, this is what God made me to do. You're turned on. You're your best self.
Yes.
And so if that's the truth, then what does it look like? What's Topher's future look like to be in this space as much as possible?
Well, this is the realization, and I feel like we're finally turning the chapter from the angry period. I don't know. Well, part of it is this group. Part of it is doing, like, I see myself too. Like it just, when I'm around those kids and I'm coaching, it's an entirely different person.
Yeah.
And so what is happening on the wave right now is I gained so many lessons from doing this, and it has shaped my entire worldview. I think it's now time to start talking about this stuff where I haven't. It's been part of me being quiet about all of this stuff is that it was hurtful. It pained me to talk about this, to tell this story. You've never heard this story. How long have you known me?
Years and years.
Yep.
I don't talk about this.
Yeah.
So I'm in this mode right now of that I have put blood, sweat, and tears into building this mental model, because this wasn't the way that I was hardwired or started, but it is the way that got me through all of that stuff. I've stress tested the stuff that I believe to be true. And what I am learning is that it's really more about, it's not what you're trying to learn. I think there's truth in many, many different disciplines. One of the things that I don't think that anybody really talks about, and what I had to teach myself to do, was how to think, how to process information. What is information? What about this actually deserves my emotional ties? Because it can't be the outcome of the at-bat. Right? That doesn't deserve my emotional ties. Right. The past doesn't deserve my emotional ties. And then we have, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I hear people talking about, this is a buzzword, inner child work, right? Well, everything how I got through all of this and built this mental model and was able to overcome this stuff and keep coming back was not by spending time in the past. You got to get over that. That's what made you to who you are right now. Whatever it is. And you got to be grateful that this is where I'm at. This is the tool chest that I have here. And so these lessons, I find myself trying to be more vocal about this. I'm doing it with the kids down here. Okay? Why do you breathe? Before we came on here, I told you my theory on breath. That's because I've tried it. Because I couldn't have an at-bat without my mind going 900,000 different directions and absolutely screwing me before I actually get there. Right? I had to come up with ways. So that's how I know for a fact that there are only two ways. You can count or you can breathe. If you count, somebody can mess that up. Something can happen and break that train of thought. That's not the preferred method. Under stress, the one that matters is breathing. And to your point, subconscious. If we're going to talk about hitting, if I think about my foot or I think about my hand and I think about any part of the, I'm done. That's it. I've lost the at-bat. Your subconscious actually has a lot of power, okay? And it knows how to do stuff. Your subconscious remembers things.
Right.
I've hit this pitch umpteen thousand times. If I think about hitting that pitch, I'm going to mess it up. Oh, well, it's got a weird spin on it. It's got this. It's this. No, my inside here is immensely powerful. We're all divine, right? We're all a drop out of the bucket. So I have all of those abilities. The problem is my number one brain gets in the way of what is actually inside here.
Got to step out of your own way.
100%. 100%. And how do you get there? Breathe. Breathe. That's why I believe the Wim Hof, I know there's truth in this. Look at it. Go from the Stoics to the hippies to anybody else. You're going to find carryover to all of this. Why do all of them talk about breathing?
It's the key.
It's the key.
It's the doorway to consciousness.
It's the way to get your own mind out of your way to let the inner divine self out.
Topher, amazing story. Some of the things I'm taking away from the story is, of course, your persistence, resilience, your ability to keep on keeping on, your determination to achieve your dream. I like the message of be careful what you dream about. Be careful what your goal is, because you want to be. If you're setting it here, then that's you want to be very clear about what you're trying to manifest or create, because we're all manifestors, regardless if we want to admit it or not.
Yeah, you don't want to limit yourself.
Right. Right. And then the other thing that I'm taking away from this is your discipline, the discipline of the 1,000 at bats, the learning the breath, the art of the art. You know what I mean? Those are some amazing talents. And I've known you now for a couple years, and you are wired differently. And I can see now that how this was put together, how you've been put together over the years through the discipline and the journey in the way that you are. And it's fascinating.
And
Thank
also
you for sharing it with us.
just breaking down the mechanics of everything. That's impressive.
I actually wrote them all down here, okay? And I would like to talk about it. To me, that's how you find the truth, right? If I can't stress test this and I can't use it in the moment that I need to use it, what good is it?
Right.
If I don't know how this works, what good is it?
And I think that's important, the ability to be able to acknowledge that and then break the steps down and know these are the things that are going to equal the success.
Well, I just had a perfect example of this. Okay, so last Saturday, Em had a scare. First time pregnancy, she hadn't felt the baby move for 8 hours, right? She is panicked. She's calling me. They're up with her family up in Ogden, okay? And she is full-fledged panic. I can hear this reaching fever pitch while I'm on the phone. Like, we are going there. We're going to have a breakdown if something doesn't stop. In that moment, I can't rationalize with her. We're not going to have a conversation about, hey, you need to calm down, okay?
Nothing helps a lady like those words.
No, It's not going to work.
You need to calm down.
You know what I did say
may
to
be
her?
Overreacting.
We don't have the information. Now, what that means is something that we've been building for 4 or 5 years. What that means is you can't panic when we don't have the information. You got to get the information before we can, because this is how you think.
Yeah.
Okay? God put it in order for us. All right? Most people don't understand how to actually think, how to process information. We process information, he put it in order. You take inputs, that's your eyes, observe what is going on around you. Okay? Then it goes to your mind. Think about what you want to do. The big secret to managing your emotions and everything that's going in here is your brain. Most people are out of alignment. They're out of order. Okay? So it should go eyes to your brain. Think about it. Your brain tells you which emotions are actually necessary for this. I'm not saying suppress emotions. I'm saying emotions lie to you and pick the right one. Okay? Which then your brain tells your heart which emotions and what you want to attach to this. And then from there it moves to your hands in massive action. Okay? It's in order. Most people, when they're out of alignment, when they're struggling with problems, it's because they're actually feeling it first.
Right.
Okay? Before they even see it. Then maybe they'll see it. Then 3 or 4 days goes by. Then they might think about it. Then 3 or 4 more days goes by, and then you're going to have action take place. That doesn't work. Your emotions
or
lie to
massive
you.
inaction.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a hard situation to not be emotional about.
Exactly.
It's a baby.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But you know what that did? Those 3 words? Instant.
Right.
Calm down.
Think
We don't
about
have
it.
the information.
Okay.
We got to go get the information first. This isn't the time to panic. And it shut it down that fast. That's what I'm talking about if you can't deploy these methods and the stuff that we're working on under stress in the moment, then what good is it? And I do believe that God, he's laid out several examples. Simplicity is the divine. God doesn't have this hard. It's not.
Right.
What's his name? I am. Okay? I am that I am. I am. He's in here. You taking the Lord's name in vain is not saying, God damn it. Okay? It's you saying, I am anything that is other than fantastic. That is anything other than aligned with him.
That's powerful.
God doesn't have love. He is love. That's the simplicity of it. Okay? So if we take all this and we take those lessons and we say it's about whittling it down to simple. Another great example. God sent down 10 commandments. Okay?
Pretty basic.
Pretty basic. And then somewhere along the line, they went, whoa, that's too many. They're not getting it. Okay? Sends down Jesus. Jesus says, 1.
Yep.
There's 1. Do unto others as you want done unto you. That covers everything. Throughout the Bible, that is Jesus' teachings. Make it simple. Complexities and making things, that's the ego.
Right.
The ego puts these complexities on things. I believe that's a mark of the other side, if you will. Okay? When you try to make something complicated and, well, gray and this, God wants it to be simple for you.
Right.
This is how make it simple. Whatever you're doing, find a way to make it the easiest route to remembering.
Powerful. Powerful stuff. Topher, I've never heard you talk this way with about faith in God and Jesus and the Bible and quoting and unquoting the scriptures. And why isn't this something that's more common? Why don't we hear more about this, like, from you?
I believe that right now I'm in my own version of a coming out process. I don't talk about this because I don't preach. Nobody asked me. Nobody asked me what my opinion is on something. Nobody asked me the thought process that I would deploy at this situation. And what I've found out is if somebody doesn't ask you, they don't actually want to hear it.
Pearls before the swine, baby. That's what you're doing. You're choosing your message. You're choosing who's going to hear it. That's a lot of wisdom in that. I feel as though that whole arguing with crazy people makes you a crazy person, kind of a thing. You don't want to waste your words in that regard. And I think there's a lot of energy that can be saved. I've argued with a lot of crazy people, which makes me crazy.
Too many to admit.
I'm top of the list of the nuts, and so.
But here's the question, though, and this is now we're just talking like spitball, because this is the question I'm wrestling. I believe that this was. I didn't just read a book yesterday, and I'm trying to profess to you what that book says.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my life work has come into getting it to this point. And I hear people talking and whatnot, and we're in an orange juice era right now. Okay, when you squeeze an orange, what comes out?
Orange juice.
Why?
Because it's an orange.
Because that's what's inside.
Yeah.
Right now, society and everything, we're in an orange juice era. We're finding out what people are made of. And so I've been toying with this because I hear stuff and I hear these stories and I hear people with struggling and whatnot. I know how to fix that. I know how to fix that because I was there, right? And I can tell you that also the 40 different methods that I tried that didn't work to get to this one that's simple and easy to remember.
So what are you going to do with it? I think that there's a tremendous amount of, or need. Let me go back it up. There's a tremendous amount of need for simple solutions in this time. We have a very complicated. We're in a complicated world.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it's becoming more complicated. There's no easy, clear path unless you're thinking about easy, clear paths. That's needed. This type of thinking. And so my question is when are you running for office? When will I see your name on the ballot? Because this is the kind of thinking that we need in leadership in our world right now. I
agree. And it's weird. First step is we're going to build a mastermind school. And I am going to be one of the coaches in there. That's going to be step number one. I do believe that, the hard part that I have is even talking about this. I feel like it's coming across cocky and pompous, and it's not. I actually genuinely feel like this of what I've built in the way that I think, this isn't an accident, and I want to actually share it with people because I genuinely believe that it will help you in all of your everyday life. And it's not just one dogma, it's not just one discipline or anything like that. I don't want to, if you believe, not to be mean, but there's stoicism, there's hippies. I look for carryover, but I actually care about how are you processing the information. Believe whatever you want.
Applying it is really what you're about.
Or in that too.
Yeah.
But how do you read this? How do you digest this? How do you use it? Again, if the pick on inner child work, I'm sorry everybody, that's just the one that comes to mind. If you pick on inner child work, right? And you come up with a stressful situation, are you going to actually be able to circle all of that thought process and figure out your answer, your solution?
Maybe.
Unlikely. Certainly not in the moment. It's going to take you 2 weeks to digest it to reach the answer, right? It's kind of like this. What's the greatest life hack that you can, of all the disciplines, all the self-help books, everything that's out there, what is the final chapter in every single one of them?
Taking action?
It's a choice.
Hmm.
At the end of all of the self-help books, okay, it comes down to a choice. That's it. You decide you're going to do something, you decide that you're going to be it, and then do it. But if you recognize that it is the choice that you have, that's the life hack. We can take how many ever different ways to get there. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face.
Right.
Nothing will change until you make a choice. That's the answer. That's the secret. Go to the back chapter of every single self-help book. That's what's there.
Got to make the choice.
It ultimately comes down. So if you know that, deploy that. Start playing games with yourself. So when I go through and I'm taking information here and I'm gonna take it to the game that I play when I'm thinking about it is the game of or. Okay? No matter what is going on, situation X, okay? I just broke up with my girlfriend. I'm so mad. This is the worst. Or this is opening the door for a new opportunity that the love of my life is going to walk through.
Yeah.
Present yourself a choice and then make the decision. But by you presenting the choice to yourself, playing the game of or, okay, now you automatically open yourself up to different possibilities. Now we have a choice to decide which one, because at the end of the day, it's your perception that matters.
That's right.
There's a lot of power in just being opening yourself to every situation. Yeah.
Also, let me give you one more life hack since I have it here, or I did have it. Get yourself a coin. There's a lot of, I have my decision coin. It's a 1973 50-cent piece. I've carried it around since I was 18 years old. Okay? If you needed to make a decision about what shirt to wear, flip a coin. If you need to make a decision about where you're going to eat, flip a coin. Cut a lot of this bullshit out. Because at the end of the day, tomorrow, it won't matter what shirt you wore. It won't matter where you ate for dinner. Cut that out.
Save a lot of arguments with your spouse as well.
100%. You pick one, I'll pick one, we flip for it, and we move on.
Yeah.
And it's done. It's about efficiency. Spend your time and your emotions where you need to spend them.
Right.
Those are the funnest motorcycle rides we've been on, or the coin flip trips.
Absolutely.
Are we heading north or
There's
south?
just no
Boom.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And no, it's inarguable. Are we doing this or that? Boom. There's the answer. And we all have to agree upon.
And what about
the
when we're
wisdom
not
of the
when
coin?
we're not on a coin flip trip and we start arguing and then fuck it.
Get the coin out.
Yep, and it solves
Okay.
the problem.
Problem
We've done
solved.
that. We've done that before. Well, Topher, this has been amazing. I can see a part 2 and 3 happening in our podcast of getting to know Topher better. The last question that I want to ask you, and we've asked a lot of guests this before, but now here you sit, you're on the doorstep of fatherhood. You've got business skills and management coaching that you're looking at, building all these opportunities for the American Masterminds and for yourself and your family. All these things are happening. Your plate is clear full. Now you're looking backwards, and you've gone through this mourning period. You've gone through all of this rejection and all of these things. There sits that 12-year-old boy that he's just finished catching for the Rockies pitchers. What advice would you tell him? What would you tell that kid?
My baseball advice? Hands first. If I had found that out then, my God, we would have been in a whole different situation. Thought about that. Hands first. But no, one of the things that I'm quite proud of is, and this is what matters the most. No matter what is going on, I have my entire life given 110%. I don't have any regrets, outside of but how do you know that? There is stuff that I learned in pro ball that if I knew it in high school, my entire thing would have been different. But I also wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
So what advice? It really is more keep trying. Do your best, no matter what. It's what where I've arrived to today.
I think if I could put my arm around that kid's shoulders, the advice that I would give him is you're more than baseball.
That would be a good one.
You're more than baseball. You're more than what you can do. You're bringing way more value into the world than how fast you can throw or catch or hit the ball, because those things are all amazing, and to have a talent in that is truly special. But I know this Topher. I know this Topher that's been refined over all this period, went through the 5 years of hell and all of these redefining things. And dude, I love you. That's the least part of you is this baseball part. And I didn't know that, Topher. That's a different guy. But I would have to say that that's the least part of your power is that. you are way more than a ball and a mitt. And I just want you to know that. I think that's the advice I'd give that kid.
I agree with that 100%.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the American Mastermind Podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like it, share it, subscribe, get it out there. Send us a comment. We're going to start reading these comments and the feedback that we get from you, because we would like to build the best podcast in the history of the world, and you get to be a part of that. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And if you have any more questions for us or for Topher, please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thanks, Topher.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate it,
sharing
guys.
that, Topher. That was good.
Thank you.